doing this, and if we say anything funny, I'll use it as a cold open. So
Okay.
far, you guys aren't funny, so that's the biggest
Fuck
problem.
you,
So
Chase.
so what'd you guys have for dinner last night?
Oh God, I don't know. Did I eat? I don't think I ate. So that's my answer.
And cue the intro song.
Be funnier, Chase.
It's our first cold open. Good comedy, guys. Good comedy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game with Love podcast. My name's Chase McEwen, and I'm joined as always by Kai Arnsdorf.
Woo.
And Ty Greenall.
That's me.
And we're here for our 5th episode, and we're going to kick it off by talking about something we all loved in the industry in the past couple weeks. Kai, do you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, sure. So the topic that I chose for the thing that I love, it delves a little bit into negativity, but it's the fact that Ubisoft employees are just actively and publicly shaming Ubisoft for their pushing of NFTs on both the consumer and the employees. Like on the Ubisoft internal developer threads, there are literally hundreds of threads that they've created internally just slamming NFTs and calling the company just a bunch of greedy assholes. And I don't know. It's nice just to see that this NFT thing is being pushed against by not only gamers, but even developers inside of the industry are like, okay, enough's enough. This is ridiculous. We actually have to voice our concerns, because with a lot of these microtransactions of the past, like loot boxes and stuff like that, developers have remained quiet basically while those were in circulation and popularity. But I'm glad that we finally hit that point where even developers are starting to clap back, and maybe we can finally start seeing some real honest to god change with not just with these NFTs, but again with the gaming industry. It's a time of change right now for the gaming industry. It hit a very colossal point. I think it started with the Activision Blizzard controversies, and now it's just gotten to the point where even the games industry is fighting back and pushing back and against itself, and it could result in some good change.
Yeah,
and
I think
hopefully NFTs die.
I think you make a really good point as comparing it to loot boxes as well, because no one really, even consumers, there's obviously some outspoken people against loot boxes, but for the most part it just kind of slid by, and that was the problem. No one was pushing back, but now people are actually like, no, we don't want this shit in our games. And it kind of ties as well with the Ty's point of when we first got our first unionized company. I feel like seeing that, and it also, we've seen more of that now since then. This is also kind of tied into that, where the developers have some more, say, and they're like, no, we don't want this in our games that we worked hard to make. Like, keep this shit out of here.
Yeah, it probably also doesn't help that they tried to hand them out like they were Christmas bonuses to Ubisoft employees.
Yeah, that's so wild.
Literally, they're like, we don't like this, and Ubisoft is like, oh, you don't? Well, here's some.
Yeah, maybe these NFTs will keep it quiet for a little bit.
Maybe you'll see the deal then.
It's one thing to give your employees stock in your own company. It's a whole nother thing to give them NFTs.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Blizzard tried to pay their employees in loot boxes?
Oh my god. You get some Overwatch cosmetics.
It's like when someone slips you an extra $10 on the table, they're like, you sure a little artistic monkey won't change your mind? Giving them a dumb NFT. Yeah, that's a good one. Ty, do you want to give us yours?
My thing that I loved in the last month was the wondrous Italian Senate meeting that took place on the very same day of the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition news. When during a live streamed Zoom meeting of the Italian Senate, someone snuck in and Zoom bombed the meeting and played a good 5 to 10 minutes of Tifa Lockhart Final Fantasy VII Remake hentai. And I think that is probably the funniest thing that's going to happen in gaming this year. I think we can just wrap it up right there, guys.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, it's the peak. It's the peak.
I laughed so hard when I saw that in my feed. And the best part is what I just discovered earlier was the artist coming out on Twitter and openly saying, hey, I don't know why or how this happened, but I really appreciate all the attention it's giving me.
Yeah. Good for them.
Good for that guy.
Just the fact
It-
for how long it stayed on screen too, without anybody noticing.
Without
Like,
anybody catching it on a nationally televised program.
Yeah.
It's just something else.
wild.
Italy really just doesn't care. I guess that's the
Well, something to note is that for Infamous Second Son, there was a collector's edition for that game that you can only get in Italy that included neon condoms.
Nice.
Yeah, so those Italians, man, there's something else.
That's hilarious.
Hey, honestly, they're here for two things. One of them's games, and the other is something else. And
Yeah.
I get it. You know?
Sometimes they go hand in hand. You know?
It's like
Sometimes
that
you just know your
sometimes.
audience.
Sometimes you're just playing a really steamy session of Infamous Second Son. You know, the dulcet tones of Deslin Brooke or whatever that main character's name was. Really,
Deslin Brooke, holy shit. I don't remember his name either. Like,
Deslin Rowe. It was Deslin something.
I want to say Desmond Miles, but that's fucking Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it's nice.
How about
to,
you, Chase?
It's nice to break up the monotony of shitty news with something funny like that. And mine is hopefully going to be a positive thing. It's Intel planning on introducing like millions of their own graphics cards into the scene to help curtail the like where we're
shortage
stuck
stuff?
right now. Yeah, the shortage. Right now it's just talk, but hopefully it that's actually why they're in it. Obviously it's going to make them money too, but their plan is to have everyone have access to graphics cards by like I think it was sometime this year, maybe next year, but like that will help a lot. Just another company getting into this game and wanting what they say is it to be like affordable too. Like I mean the graphics cards when they come out, they haven't jacked them up in prices that much it like from the actual developers, but it's always, the aftermarket where they get launched up by a shit ton. So hopefully they introduce some new graphics cards that are like $500 that I don't have to, shell out the price of a new computer to buy because I would like to upgrade soon. So yeah, other than that, I feel like this would be going on for at least another year or two, if not longer. It's crazy how little graphics cards there are. The ones that do come out get gobbled up right away.
I'm real
just
tired
happy
of.
I'm done.
Yeah, that's fair.
with upgrading for now. Like I'm happy.
I mean,
with
yeah,
that.
I'm also being a little like, I don't need to upgrade at this point. I could wait a little bit longer too, but it's nice to have the option just in case. I don't know. Even like, what if my graphics card something goes wrong as well? Like I couldn't get another one. The 2070 Supers are like the point where shit gets really expensive.
And like it's good to have just top of the line hardware for a gaming YouTube channel.
Yeah,
it's also just good to have it out there on the market, regardless of your own personal situation.
That's true.
Cool. Well, yeah, there's the things we loved, and then we're gonna jump into a couple smaller topics before we hit the big question of the day. So we're gonna talk quickly about these acquisitions that have been going on in the news lately, and what we think is gonna be the next step in that. But yeah, basically, for the past month, I would say maybe 2 months, there's been some huge acquisitions. I mean, I guess it started back when Microsoft bought
Bethesda.
First the Bethesda and Double Fine. Like those are two big members of the industry, so they were already leading it off with that. And then very recently bought Activision, which is like I don't think there will be another purchase like that for a while. That's like insane,
if
like,
ever.
Yeah,
it's been like the only way it gets topped is if someone buys out EA. That is the only way it gets topped.
Well, that one's on the table. I think that we'll talk about that in a sec, but I just want to get through the other ones quickly. And then Sony buying Bungie really recently, which is also huge. But yeah, I think that I don't know, Microsoft owns like half of gaming history at this point. Like it's crazy. We just have to see what they do with it because it hasn't come to fruition any games yet, but
it's kind of crazy. Like I still find myself thinking every once in a while like, Xbox owns World of Warcraft.
Yeah, insane.
That's the
and
world
Call of
I live
Duty.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Kai said,
weird.
that like, what do you guys think are other companies that might be on the table? I genuinely think EA. I think Ubisoft is on the table for
EA is, I feel like, a shoe-in. Like the fact that they already kind of tie in their online service programs. So EA Play is tied into Game Pass for PC. Like, I don't know, that already is like a build-in, right?
It does seem like they might, yeah.
It's like they got their foot in the door. They just need to swing it open.
It's just Microsoft would have to whip out the cash because again, like we forget that like EA makes like what $1 billion to $1.5 billion a year just off of FIFA loot boxes alone.
Yeah.
right? So
And
like it's a
like
big company to buy out.
Yeah.
also Microsoft has money out the butt. Like we
Yeah,
all know
Oh
Microsoft's the
yeah,
that,
but
but
second biggest
it's
company in the world. Like,
yeah, but also it's not like they can just drop another $70 billion whenever they feel like it. That takes a long time and a lot of
yeah.
preparation to set something like that up. And if they keep at it at the pace they have been at, they're going to be approaching monopoly laws real soon.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's the big concern for me
Yeah.
with the whole acquisitions thing.
Yeah, it is not very consumer friendly.
Do you guys think Call of Duty is going to go Xbox only?
I don't think so.
No,
No chance.
they already confirmed that any
True,
Activision
but
Blizzard games that are like multi-platform series will stay multi-platform from present day to the future. So,
they did say that, but their wording was very careful,
Yeah.
especially
of
with Call of
course.
Duty specifically. And I could theoretically see a world where they say, "Yeah, we have Warzone. That's cross-platform, and it always will be. But this next yearly Call of Duty,
Yeah.
that's going to be
I
Microsoft
don't
only, folks."
disagree, and they definitely would have worded themselves so that they could make that change in the future. But I would say it's probably not going to be for at least another 5 years if we see something like that. Like, I think
Where
they'd
someone would be more
slowly,
used to the idea.
yeah. But I do think that they might, like, it is possible they could buy something else huge, but they might be at the point where they're like, okay, let's slow down and actually like produce things now that we've bought all these. You know, they need to make their money back now. I know that the Activision acquisition is under investigation too right now by like the Trade Bureau. So
Oh,
Ooh,
I don't know for sure if
interesting.
there's like any foul play. I think that, you know, any purchase that's $70 trillion is going to be under investigation, but there could be. It was like it's weird timing, like the whole Bobby Kotick thing. I bet you dropped the price of their company by a shit ton, so it
oh,
was probably easy for
absolutely.
Microsoft to pick that up. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like it would be crazy to see. I've kind of jokingly said that like Nintendo's gonna get bought by Microsoft at some point, but like I don't know,
I don't
Microsoft. I think
I don't think
Nintendo is
that's
like a
possible.
protected property. Like
Yeah,
I think Japan cares about them too much, but like in terms of
exactly.
money, Microsoft could definitely buy Nintendo. Like they have so much money.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Nintendo's not
I just think
exactly.
They're
I
not
was gonna say there's
small,
too much
but
cultural difference,
there
right?
Yeah.
Like
there is. There is.
Microsoft and Xbox is not really that respected over in Japan.
Yeah.
It is a much bigger deal here in the West than
They have been definitely over the past couple of years been trying to worm their way into the Japanese scene though. Like at a lot of the E3s, Microsoft has been like Phil Spencer's been propping up like here's our like we've made the trip out to Japan and here's our like Japanese properties. So they're they're working on it, but yeah, it's still
Understandable, but that also might just be them trying to tap deeper into the Japanese market and make some more money out there.
Mhm.
Realistically, I think Kai's right on by saying the cultural difference is too wide. Like, I don't think any current employee at Nintendo would be happy to hear that news, right? Like,
No.
they're probably all very proud to work for Nintendo,
Yeah.
and they do not want to work for
Yeah.
Microsoft. That's for sure.
yeah.
I think them coming to some kind of because I mean they obviously have a good relationship with Cuphead being on the Switch and Ori and you know some stuff like that. It
Yeah,
would be cool to see some sort of hybrid that's not a full buyout where Microsoft helps them with their like online shenanigans because holy shit, it would be so wicked to play a Nintendo online game but with like Microsoft's capabilities of like you know networking and stuff because
for
I
any
like
modern developer's
I'm sure I would
capabilities.
play. I'm sure I would be playing Smash all the time online if it was actually good, you know, because I enjoy playing it. But like, I just never want to play it online. I never want to play any other games online.
Speaking of Nintendo properties, do we want to talk about this recent Nintendo Direct at all?
Yeah, we can touch on that quickly.
Just quickly go over it.
Oh,
Anything spicy you want to talk about, Chase?
I mean, I'm super hyped for Strikers too. Super Mario Strikers. I just did my top 100 tier list, and Strikers is pretty high up there because I love that game so much.
How did you feel about the little gameplay snippet they showed us?
It looked the animation was a big draw for me. It did look very similar, which I like. Still the smashing into the sides. I don't really want it to be changed up that much. Like I like the original more than the Wii version because the Wii version introduced like too many powers for everybody, and the gameplay of the GameCube one was just fundamentally like super satisfying. But we'll see. Like I don't know, it's a new high. Like I don't have to bring out my GameCube and play Strikers, so I'm
Hell
hoping
yeah.
it's good.
You just got to make sure to equip your Donkey Kong with the right gear so that he hits the ball the right way.
Yeah, yeah. That like the gear system, we'll see how much that intrudes on the gameplay.
We
but
shall see. We shall see.
I don't mind it if it's implemented well. Like I don't know, I don't know too much about Mortal Kombat, but or Injustice and stuff. But I feel like that was a kind of cool way to do it. But you guys played it way more than me, so I don't know if that's 100% true.
Wait, a cool way to do what? Sorry.
Like the gear system, like adding like changing
Oh,
the.
I'd say in Injustice it had its ups and downs, and in MK11 it was pretty much just cosmetic.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like MK11 is very nice in that there's no gameplay stats. The thing I
Right.
hated about Injustices was there was like gameplay buffs and stats and
Yeah,
shit.
I guess it's cool to have it separated from ranked, like having a casual mode where that
Well,
stuff
it was
matters.
separated. It was separated from ranked.
It was.
In Injustice, but also like just for single player content, certain items gave you like ridiculously OP special moves that you couldn't use if you didn't have those items that you had to grind for hours to unlock. So it was a little bit weird.
Like
But
the best piece of the Injustice gear by far was that as Robin you can get Nightwing's staff and he turns into Nightwing.
Yeah,
literally
cool.
just takes
That's
Nightwing's moveset from Injustice 1.
like
Yeah,
that.
it was really cool.
But yeah, what else did you guys like from the direct?
I mean, the Mario Kart thing was pretty cool. Adding 50 tracks basically just confirms that this is going to be Mario Kart for a while. They're not planning on making a new game, so that's kind of nice to know. Honestly, Mario Kart 8 works. I think it's fun, and adding just a ton of new tracks to that keeps it alive, keeps it fresh.
Yeah, 48 is pretty crazy. Definitely their way of denouncing.
At a good price point too. $25 for 48 tracks is like
a
that's good DLC.
That's a whole other game. Like
Yeah,
there's probably
basically.
only around 48 tracks in the game right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Kai, did you like anything stand out from the direct?
I didn't even watch the direct, to be perfectly honest with you.
All right, you're kicked off the podcast.
You're fired. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
fired.
Agree, Chase.
I'm sorry.
It's 2-1. You heard it here, folks.
Waiting for Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, there was nothing about that, just so you know.
Yeah,
I know
that much. Yeah.
Kai, our Patreon subscribers have also all voted. You're kicked off the podcast now. We're going to be bringing
thanks, Mike.
Jay Dizzle 31 on now.
There was a new Kirby trailer. Looks great. I was already gonna get that, but it looks fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play that with Tyler.
And then there was a bunch of like bringing new, Portals coming to Switch. There was.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was cool, but a lot of stuff where the three of us have probably already played, but it's just coming to Switch, which is good. More games on the Switch for people who haven't played them.
Yeah, Portal 1 and 2 are coming to the Switch in like a bundle pack, Kai, so you get them both in one purchase.
Because I was going to say, like, if it's just Portal 1 by itself, like,
yeah.
My hot take is that most of Portal 1 is a tutorial, and there's only like 5 chambers that are actually tests.
It's also $3 on Steam constantly, so like...
Yeah, true. So
be...
charging $40 for it on Switch is a little jank.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get them both together. Another smaller thing from the Direct that I liked, there's a strategy game, or not a strategy game, an RPG coming out called Triangle Strategy. I don't know how familiar with that you guys are, but there's a free demo for it out right now, and the demo is the first 3 chapters of the main story, and your save file carries over from the demo, which I like to see.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a cute little thing. It's like, hey, you can go start your RPG a little early. And
not enough games do that, especially ones that definitely have the capability and would benefit from it. They just don't, which is a frustrating thing.
Like, I would have loved if there was a free demo for Dying Light 2 that was the whole 2-hour opening sequence.
And except they know that would be a terrible demo and make you hate the fucking game.
It's true.
Which I'll discuss that more later.
Yeah. We'll move on quickly to
anyways.
Another small topic we wanted to talk about is we're going to touch on easy modes in games and if they are a benefit.
This
or
is a
if
small
they
topic.
It's going to cover some time, but I'd say our main one is the hot take one. This is like a warm up to that. But yeah, I guess with Elden Ring coming out soon, and there was a huge controversy for Sekiro not having an easy mode. Just wanted to talk about if we think easy modes are a benefit or not.
Well, I'll happily start by saying that I think that not all games should have easy modes. Most games should have easy modes, but if it's not, I know that Kai is of the same opinion as me, so I'm going to speak for him a little bit and say that if it's within the game's direction to not have an easy mode, and then they shouldn't include it. Full stop. They don't want to, they shouldn't.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like something like a Souls game or a Sekiro, the challenge is part of the reward. Like without that same level of challenge for everybody, the satisfaction just ain't there.
I'll bring up another game, Chase, that might sway you a little more. I'm going to bring up Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. I think that's a game that without the frustration and challenge that is inherent to the game would just mean nothing and wouldn't be fun at all.
Yeah.
Right? If there was an easy mode that autopiloted your awkward sledgehammer cauldron man up the mountain, there would be no satisfaction or value to getting to the top of the mountain. Therefore, the game wouldn't be fun.
But you have to remember, everyone plays games for different reasons, and gating a game like Souls games behind oh, it's satisfying to do this, but like that's for people who have the capabilities to do it or want to play it for that
Which
reason.
is a small portion of the gaming community for sure, but also there are a lot of games that come out every year that everyone can play.
Yes, but what if
Yeah,
someone
right.
likes the art direction of Bloodborne and wants to play it? I just like it doesn't affect us to have an easy mode. We just don't have to play the easy mode. It's so easy for a developer to add that to gain accessibility. And I think even rephrasing it instead of saying an easy mode, just accessibility options that make the game easier for people who can't play them,
I agree
Like
with that,
like
absolutely.
if you just had
Accessibility options.
even if you just had a mode in Sekiro that was like, hey, like you don't take damage if you just want to stroll through this game and look at shit. Adding features that help people who don't have full function in their hands, or even like the mental capacity to play certain games that are too hard. It just doesn't affect me. I don't see the downside of adding an easy mode.
I mean, I
But
agree with what you're
also,
saying, Chase, but I also think that the different, like easy, normal, and hard modes and accessibility features for people with problems in their hands or mental faculty issues are like two completely different discussions. I agree that all games should have accessibility features that make them playable by as many people as humanly possible, but I think that's a fundamentally different discussion than easy, hard, and normal mode.
Yeah, I guess,
yes.
but like having that mode in Sekiro that makes it easier for someone to beat, it just doesn't affect me. So why would I care? Like, what if like someone's nephew, 12 years old, doesn't have the
That
ability to
game's rated
beat?
M. I'm sorry, he can't
Dude,
play
I
it.
was playing
Yeah.
that shit that young.
And here's the thing. Like, I don't think every game should be directed for absolutely everyone on planet Earth. Like, accessibility in terms of like someone who's disabled being able to play the game. Again, completely separate discussion. But not every game should be designed with an easy mode mentality in mind. Again, most games should because it fits. Like Halo should have its easy, normal, heroic, legendary. That's how it should be. But if you have FromSoft who makes these Souls games, Sekiro games, and their vision is like they're difficult, but it's rewarding, maybe the person just has to accept maybe the games just aren't for them. Like one thing I love that Jim Sterling did when he was reviewing Sekiro was he was like, "Yeah, this game's great, but it's not for me." Sometimes you just kinda gotta accept the game's just not for you, and you just don't jive with it, and that's fine.
Yes, but my argument is, what if someone did want to jive with it? A perfect example for me is Celeste. Celeste is a game story wise and gameplay wise built on how hard it is to beat and climb the mountain, and that's rewarding, and that's the point. They still have options that slow down time and make levels easier for people who can't do that because maybe they don't want to play that game that way, and that doesn't affect me at all. Why not just throw it in there? Like it doesn't take
Because
away
that's
from.
just but that's not part of the developer's vision.
But that's
Like,
just
how far do we have to
so
go
the part of their
before,
vision
like,
is
the vision is
not
and plus
enabling everyone to play the
there
game.
is ways to make these games easier. Play a Souls game and play a Magic build. That's basically playing the game on easy. Like, there
I
are
mean, that
ways
is
to
a
make
true point,
things.
Kai. But also,
Yeah.
I will admit that it's a bit of a skewed argument here because it's also kind of difficult to talk about Dark Souls when that's also a game that has a whole world of online element and other player interaction to it as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Celeste obviously doesn't really have that. Although Celeste is a great game, and in Celeste the assist mode works beautifully. But I also think a similar assist mode that just like brings you back to life for free anytime you died in Dark Souls just wouldn't be a fun game, even for people who wanted to play that way.
Sometimes just the art style or aesthetic is appealing. It's the same as even the video about triggers. Like why not? It just doesn't make any sense to not include it. It doesn't harm the game that already exists. We're going to play that regardless. It just seems gatekeepy to be like, well, an easy mode would take away from for some reason, your enjoyment of how you play through. Like, what does it matter how they want to play through the game? Just let them play through it on
But
easy mode.
do we have to force developers to make easy modes in every game, even if it
Why
doesn't
not?
fit their vision of the
But
game?
it's not. It doesn't
'Cause it's
affect
not
the
part of
vision of the
I'm
game.
arguing, but it could. They might be like, "We don't wanna do this." Like, that's why they didn't do that for Dark Souls, because they didn't want that game to have an easy
I'll
mode.
say like
It's part of the vision.
an example of what you're talking about, Chase, that I think is done basically perfectly is Hades' God mode in the settings.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
know how familiar you guys are with
Yep.
that, but
Yep. Yep. Yep.
basically, it's a system that makes it so that you take a percentage less damage flat off of all damage you take. That stacks up every time you die, and I think that's a really good example of something like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But still,
Exactly.
that doesn't necessarily add more accessibility for people who wouldn't have been able to play Hades
Sure,
the
it
traditional
does.
way.
Sure, it does. I have known so many people who'd want to play that game, but it's too hard for them. But they still enjoy dialogue, they enjoy the combat. And an argument for the vision that like the artist's vision for me is movies were designed with the dialogue and sound in mind. If you're deaf and they don't have subtitles, you're basically saying, well, it's the vision that you're supposed to hear what's happening. That's like the same argument. Like you're saying that it's the
iffy. Are we watching this in a theater or are we watching this at home?
Well, most
because if the DVD doesn't have subtitles, then yeah, that's fucked up. That's really fucked up, even for non-deaf people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. that's point against your argument.
But also, like,
it's
you don't actively participate in a movie. Like, that's the thing. It's like you actively participate in a game.
So,
like,
what
that's
does that
part
matter?
of the. Again, it's just part of the vision.
Part of the vision for you, not for the people who can't play it.
Okay, if it was part of the vision for the developers of Demon Souls, Dark Souls to put an easy mode in there, you know what they would have done? They would have put an easy mode in it.
No, that's not true.
That's not part of the vision. Talking accessibility in games, we're just talking a difficulty level.
That's the
that's all we're talking about.
But those two are intertwined, and you can't ignore it. You can't ignore accessibility and easy mode being. They're not separate topics. They are going to be talked about in the same vein because easy mode helps people with accessibility options. And even if it didn't, even if someone was fully abled but didn't have the capacity or wanted a less strenuous game, I literally don't see the problem in just giving them an easy mode because I'll just play on the hard mode. Or what if I wanted to play on an easy mode? What if like I was like, fuck this game?
Then
like,
that's just not the game you're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, sometimes you just gotta accept it's just not the game.
But that's not how it should be. You're alienating people for no reason. What's the reason?
Okay, then you alienate them. You make an RTS, you're gonna alienate people who like first-person shooters.
Let's rein it in.
No.
I hear both your points here, Chase. I think that some games just fundamentally lean into their difficulty and do have content. Some games even do have content there. Like I'll point to another roguelike, Dead Cells, that has plenty of content that you can play on easy mode. There's a whole custom game mode where you can customize all of the settings to design your own difficulty that works for you. But there's a different separate main campaign mode that works for for adding and layering challenge on consistently over the course.
But that's what I'm saying. That shit is already there. Why are we defending Dark Souls when it's clearly not? Neither of those had an effect on you. Why don't we just? I guarantee you, if there was easy modes in Souls, this topic would be like gone by the end of the month.
Yeah, and Souls would lose everything that makes it special
what
too.
Are you talking
because
to who? To you? Not
because
to else.
Like you don't get bragging rights for. You don't get the bragging rights for beating the game. Beating the game means like nothing. That's the point. Is that they want it to be a rewarding challenge.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Chase. But at the same time, like that's an entire series marketed and built around difficulty. Like that's the entire.
So let's just take away the thing that makes it special.
But how is it taking it away from you? It's still there.
It's taking it away from the game itself.
No, it's not.
It's taken away from the game itself, the community around it, the feelings around it.
No,
it's like, okay, well, it's like, okay, you beat the Sword Saint, but like that doesn't mean anything if you did it on easy versus doing it on hard. It's like
that person who beat it on easy will feel rewarded because they got to play the game and beat it themselves. Like, I just think if you went up to someone who was struggling with a game and was like, "Well, you didn't beat it the way it was supposed to," you'd sound like a dickhead. Like,
I just say the game just isn't for you, and that's fine. There's a million games out there that just aren't for me, and I just fully accept it. I don't want the developers bowing down to me in order to accommodate their fucking game.
I do. I think that they should be having accessibility in their mindset because we already have examples of that. Celeste is a game built on how hard it is. Dead Cells is a hard game. They have easy modes, and it has helped people play the games. Like,
yeah, because those are how those visions were designed.
How do you know
they were designed with those in mind because they're in the game. The developers made it and put the work into it and put it in. It's part of the vision.
But years ago, that wasn't the case. Like, old games didn't have these accessibility options until the community or the consumers were like, hey, we need more shit like this, so now people are thinking about it. And for Souls to be stuck in the past and be like, oh, we're old timey, we need our games to be hard is just silly.
Chase, Souls kind of is a series that's stuck in the past. Souls is still a game that doesn't let you pause the game without quitting and saving and shutting down the entire game,
which I think is stupid.
No, that's amazing. It's what I think is special about it.
No,
it's what's special. I love it.
So I also will point out that in both Celeste and Dead Cells, like those playthroughs on assist mode or custom game modes are seen completely differently by the community, and they also mark your save file as being, different. And
that's fine. But what, like, I just feel like it's such a weird attitude to be like, this takes away from my experience because someone else has an easy mode. Like, it's just giving someone else the option to play a great game. Like,
What I don't want is developers just making stuff that they're not passionate about for my personal wants of an easy mode. If they don't want to, they should have the choice to say, I want to make this game the way that I want to make it. And that's what they did with the Souls
but you
games.
don't
And that's
understand.
what
They
that's
can
what
Alright,
works.
literally
guys.
do that. Easy options are an afterthought. You can add those options after. It's not, you don't have to recode the game. You just have to add
Yeah,
options.
that's a good
that
point
make
too.
things
Like,
easy.
look, I know you didn't watch the Nintendo Direct, Kai, but Metroid Dread actually did something pretty interesting recently, where they added 2 alternate modes. They added a rookie mode and a dread mode to the game. So, because people were complaining about not having any difficulty modes, so the dread mode is just one hit kill and the game's over. It deletes your save file, which is wild.
That's
And
hilarious.
the rookie mode basically makes the parry timing easier and gives you a lot more health.
And
Yeah.
again, they wanted to put that in the game, so it's fine. My argument is that if a developer doesn't want to, they shouldn't have to.
That's
They
silly.
should be forced to.
For another example I'll pull out before we completely wrap this up, I guess, is like Spelunky, which is a game that I know you absolutely love, but there's a huge sense of reward within the community for seeing other players make it far in a Spelunky run. Like, there's a huge sense of admiration and appreciation there that just fundamentally wouldn't exist with customizable difficulty settings that autopilot you through the game. Like, even if those settings are there for people
Ty's
who
right.
for people who couldn't make it normally, that's great. But also, 99% of people can't make it through a Spelunky run normally. That's the whole point.
Like,
right?
me personally, I suck at Spelunky, and I'd probably never be able to beat it. And you know what? That's fine. I'm more than okay with that fact. They're good games. I can still appreciate them for what they are, and they shouldn't cater towards me.
Again, but you guys are also using yourselves. You have to think about other people. Like, there's other people
Yeah,
who
but
would want to play
that
those
that could be
games.
applied to other people.
And there's also lots of other people who get a massive sense of reward for actually making it and showing off to people that
Yes,
they
but
made it
but
to
what
that
about the
point.
people who get a massive amount of a reward for beating it on easy mode? Sometimes that's enough for people, and they still get that satisfaction because easy mode is tough for them. You have to realize easy mode isn't going to be easy mode is hella easy for us, but for people who are playing on easy mode, there's a chance that it's still going to be somewhat challenging.
Of course, yeah.
So it doesn't affect me. Why would I
I'm just
care?
with the developers on this one who just don't want to do it. If you want to, again, most games do put it in there for a reason because most games should have it. Like, I'd say 98, 99% of them should. But there should be that 1% that's built for masochistic fucks like me and Ty who just want to throw our head against the wall and just
But
play
you can
something that's
still
extremely
have
tough.
that with an easy mode. It doesn't take away
But
from
if the
your
if
experience.
the developers feel that it takes away, I'll trust their vision as
How
long
does
as it's
it
a good
take away
game.
from your experience? It doesn't make any sense. Even though they have controller options for people who are paraplegic, that doesn't mean the game is going to be the same difficulty for someone who has to use their mouth and breathing to play the game. Like,
even though those settings are there to make it easier on just anybody in general who wants to use them, it still doesn't necessarily mean that every game should have them.
it makes no sense to me, but all right. I'll wrap it up.
Artistic vision, and that's how I'll wrap it
Yeah,
up.
artistic vision, no subtitles in my next game. Sorry.
Which I don't even think that's legally. Is that even legally allowed? At this point?
It absolutely is
probably
legally
is
allowed
legally allowed.
because there are I'll point one out.
I've
to
never
you.
seen a game
The
without
Veil
them.
doesn't have any subtitles.
Really? Interesting.
It's also a game that has no visual component to it whatsoever.
That is true, but that is true. I forgot about that. But I mean, that's also
niche,
like
that's a very niche
that's
example.
a niche game. Well, you know what? That game should have subtitles because I can see. So
Sure.
it should have subtitles.
Why not? What if someone
No,
was deaf? and
no,
wanted
it
to play
shouldn't
that
because if
game?
they don't want to put it in there, so you feel like a
No,
blind
Chase,
person, then
you-
you should.
If someone's deaf and doesn't want to play that game, they literally can't. I don't know what to tell you. There's just no world where that game is accessible by a deaf person. That's like saying, oh, Before Your Eyes should be more accessible to blind people who can't see. Like, it's a game about your eyes and blinking. It doesn't work.
I guess that
way.
one is, but it also is very audio focused. I feel like you could play Before Your Eyes without the visual component because you can click in that game. You don't need to blink. There is an option for that. I feel like you get the story with the audio and Before Your Eyes. Like,
I mean, I guess, but it's not the same
of
experience.
course, it's not the same, but it doesn't matter. It's not for us. But anyway, moving on to the next topic.
What's up next?
After one hot take to another, we're going to talk about our hot takes in the industry. Games that are like overwhelmingly at least like 80th percentile positive that we don't like.
I'll start here, I think, because I think mine is the coldest take. My take is that Bethesda Game Studios has not made a good game since The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and they likely never will again.
I mean, I think it's a cold take for us, but I think that other people listening might be like, "What the fuck?"
Maybe.
But
There's a passionate following for Fallout 4. Like,
it's true.
They
and
exist.
Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim's one of the highest selling
Oh,
games.
Skyrim,
you
yeah,
know, like
it's a cultural phenomenon. It was a cultural.
And don't get me wrong, yeah, Skyrim was a cultural phenomenon for me too. Even when it first released on the PS3, oh boy, you bet I played a lot of Skyrim. That was peak. That was peak Skyrim right there. Now you can play it on your fridge or your Amazon Alexa. But yeah, I mean, I played a lot of Skyrim content in my day, but I still, looking back on it, kind of wish I didn't.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Skyrim is. I also completely agree. I played Fallout 3. I didn't play 4, but I played all the DLCs. I played Skyrim. I guess those are the only 2 games past Oblivion.
I've played all of them except for Fallout 76. I haven't touched that with a 10-foot pole, and nobody can make me.
But yeah, Oblivion is just like, I don't know what happened to the writers there, but Oblivion is just better. I can't remember. I can maybe remember 1 or 2 quests from Skyrim, but I remember like 20 quests from Oblivion. Like
there's a lot of really memorable stuff in Morrowind and Oblivion, and I feel like Skyrim is kind of the tipping point for them as a company where it started to get stale. I don't know what to tell you.
I think Fallout 3 is still quality. It does some things. It has some missteps, but it is a good game, and it is a decent RPG. I just don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything.
Yeah, I agree. I guess
it's definitely better than Skyrim.
Fallout 3, I mean, even Oblivion, I'd say Oblivion's main story is okay, but I think Fallout 3's main story is awful. I think Skyrim's main story is boring.
Same with Fallout 4's. Bethesda's main suit is not their main story.
Of the bunch.
Yeah, Fallout 4's is horrible. It's
obviously New Vegas is a different discussion that needs to be said.
That's Obsidian.
True.
Yeah, that's Obsidian and not Bethesda.
Dude, they made one of the best video game stories of all time in Fallout New Vegas, and compare that to Fallout 3 or 4. Or, it's like adults coming to pick up the kids at daycare. You know, Fallout 3's in their little diapers, and New Vegas is just one of the most nuanced written video game stories just ever. Period. Bar none. It's really good. There's a reason it's still talked about 12 years later in terms of its storytelling.
Bets down now. Do you guys think that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are both going to be met with massive critical praise?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The critics are going to eat them up, and then the public is going to shit them out because they're going to be buggy messes.
Yep.
Probably.
Because
I really don't
Bethesda doesn't know how to make a functioning game.
They've obviously changed engines at this point, though, right? Or updated.
No,
their
they haven't.
No,
they're still on the Morrowind engine.
Are you serious?
For Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6.
God.
Yes.
Even all the way into Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah.
Oy vey. That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's probably the worst news you could ever hear for Bethesda's. They haven't switched engines
It's still
yet.
so. That's crazy.
Like, even the modders at this point for like Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 are like, can you please just switch to a new engine?
Yeah.
Bethesda?
Well, yeah,
It feels like I'm working with something from 1995.
The modding community is like obviously a huge part of those games, and they're really have taken a lot of time to learn the weird intricacies of that engine. But like that's not an excuse, guys.
Yeah, time to switch. Oh, that's
like when your most passionate fans that are literally willing to make content for you for free are saying switch it the fuck up. Switch it.
Especially when games like that rely so much on like face-to-face dialogue, like you need good animation.
It's
like
true.
The Witcher 3 killed fucking Elder Scrolls in terms of facial animation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and Mass Effect as well. Like, I love Mass Effect because most of the dialogue is actually really good, but those jarring ass faces really don't be nice going back to.
The aliens are fine. It's just the humans.
Yeah,
the humans look really weird in that game,
Yeah,
but the aliens have aged really well. Like the Turians still look great, and the Krogans still look great.
Yeah.
It's just the human faces that have not aged well, but it's better than Andromeda.
It's also like just as a human, like your brain kind of picks up on that uncanny valley if something's not right with a human looking face. Like it's easier to hide that when it's an alien, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I also do kind of think that they're just animated quite a bit better. Like the Turian faces specifically come to mind as being
they're
really,
so well
really,
animated.
really
Like the way
well
their
done.
mandibles move separately from their actual mouths.
Tally's
And then
face
you look at
animation is great.
And then you look, Tally's face, 10 out of 10. This girl.
Love that Photoshop job they did.
But yeah, you look at the alien faces, like you look at Garrus next to Shepard even, and like
Yeah.
Shepard is by far the best looking human as far as you're using like default Shepard, obviously.
Yeah.
Shepard is the best looking human across the entire franchise, and even Shepard looks
Yeah.
a little
stoic.
jank a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hot take that I think all agree with for the most part. I love Oblivion too.
I still have it installed.
Good. Kai, do you want to do yours?
Yeah, so my hot take, I don't know how hot it is, but for me, I think it's a hot take. And that's the Borderlands series being overrated. I don't think they're bad games necessarily,
I mean,
but I think they're really freaking boring. They are just snooze fest. It's just go do this fetch quest, go do that fetch quest, go do this fetch quest, go do that fetch quest. Oh, look at what I did on this fetch quest. I just shot things.
All right.
I just shot more things. Hooray.
Let me speak up here. I think you have a fair point, which is that the Borderlands series is very inconsistent. I think Borderlands 1 and 2 are both really fun games, and I think there's a massive difference in the quality of quests and times to be had between Borderlands 2 and 3, and also the pre-sequel, which was also a game that nobody else played but me, I think.
I played it.
All right. 2 of us played.
Like I've played a decent chunk of the first game and an okay chunk of the second one, and I don't know, the game just gets really repetitive to me really fast.
I definitely Borderlands 2 is like in my on my tier list. Like put it in like the top 30 or top 40. It's like up there. But
and I'd agree with that. It's up there for me
I
too.
completely agree with Kai, and I even mentioned this during my like rundown of it because I'm like nervous to go back to it because I feel like not only first of all it was so grindy when I played back then, but I just loved the grind at that point. But like, holy crap, you have to kill the same boss like 10 to 15 times to get a legendary weapon sometimes. And that's where like the fun weapons are in the game.
True.
It takes forever. And then on top of that, I really don't think the humor would hold up if I went back to it. Like it's that high on my list because in the moment I thought it was hilarious and I enjoyed it a lot and played it with like four player co-op all the time. But Borderlands 3 is not funny, but we also played it like 2 years ago. I think that if I revisited Borderlands 2, I'd be like, I don't find this funny anymore. Not that matters. It was funny during the time, but I don't think
I gotta disagree there. I've gone back and played Borderlands 2 like a couple times with different friend groups, and Borderlands 2, I honestly think the humor holds up in a lot of places. I think there's definitely a few places where if you know the joke is coming or if you remember kind of the gag, you're like, oh yeah, all right, butt stallion, it's a unicorn made of diamonds, all right, whatever. But I think there's a lot of places where the humor holds up, and I think Borderlands 2 is genuinely a really smartly written game in some areas. Whereas I really don't feel that way with what I played of Borderlands 3, and I also don't feel that way about the pre-sequel.
Borderlands 3 was much more fun gameplay wise though. Like it felt like a up-to-date shooter. Like going back and playing Borderlands
it did feel
2
better to play, but the problem is like my problem doesn't really necessarily come from the mechanics of the shooting. My problem comes from the overall quest design and just what I'm actually doing from moment to moment.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the same thing over and over and over again, and I just get really bored of it really fast. And I'm like, I could not sustain this for like 80 hours or whatever it takes to beat these fucking games. Like I put 30 hours into the first Borderlands and didn't beat it. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, shooters like that. Like I still love Borderlands 1 and 2, but again, like the raid bosses, it's also very early on, so they weren't very good at this, but the fun of it comes from your mechanics, but the bosses are never interesting. They're just big meat targets. Like they never do anything. You don't have a dodge. You don't have anything like, that interesting to implement. So it's basically shooting at the same big target over and over again and just implementing your skills in a cool way. But yeah, I don't know.
Also, I feel like most of the like value of the bosses in those games is kind of their different visual flair and the humor elements of them.
Like almost every boss's intro in especially the first two Borderlands games, like their intros are iconic.
Yeah.
Like that's what I remember about the boss fights is just the little flashcards that have a joke about the boss on it.
Really weird. I just got a Steam notification that someone's playing Borderlands 2. It's listening.
It was meant to be. Again, I don't think they're bad games. I just think I just don't jive with them.
Yeah, I mean, overrated is I agree. Like it's up there for me, but again, I've been nervous about revisiting it because I don't know how much.
If only they had an easy humor mode where it explained all the jokes to you, Kai, so you could
understand.
That
would be nice. No, the jokes are too hit you on the head. They need a hard mode for the jokes. They need
It's true, they do.
They need to make them smarter.
Oh,
I don't know.
God, easy mode for Borderlands 3.
There's quite a few gags in Borderlands 2 that I think are pretty subtle and well done.
I'm
but
sure some of the jokes hold up. There's some that I remember where I'm like, that's still funny. Like when
Yeah.
Roland's dead and Handsome Jack is just like, hey, we're all gonna go out and get milkshakes, like pretending to be Roland. He's like, nah, I'm just kidding. He's still very dead. Always laugh at that, but
yeah.
I'm sure, like you said, the butt salad for sure is one where I'm like, okay, just like eye roll kind of humor. But
But there's also a lot of like I don't know, it ties kind of back into what Kai said. Like if you're not enjoying the humor of Borderlands 2, you won't jive with a lot of the side quest structure. Like the example that comes to my mind is the Shooty McFace side quest that everybody remembers. There's a guy just standing there, Kai, for your reference, and he gives you a side quest, and the quest is to shoot him in the head, and he yells at you, he screams at you like, please, please shoot me in the face. And then the quest ends as soon as you shoot him in the head, and he just dies and poops out a bunch of money, and that's the whole quest. And it's like stuff like that where they like play with the formula of their own ridiculous side quests.
Yeah, like
makes me
that's
laugh.
fun, but it stuff like that doesn't happen enough. Again, most quests just devolve into go here and grab this, and you have to
Go
kill a
here,
bunch of enemies
shoot a
in
lot of
between.
bad guys, then go over there and shoot some more bad guys. Yeah, that's pretty much the game. But I mean,
And again, if you enjoy that, I understand, but like it's just it gets too boring for me too quickly. Like even with weapon variety, I'm just like I'm really just doing the same thing over and over and over again with a new coat of paint. So.
yeah. I mean, that's a good one. I like that pick. Mine is Mario Kart. All of the Mario Karts. Don't like them. Not
all
fun.
of them.
I'd
Wait,
rather...
this is not just the
All
most
of them.
recent Mario Kart.
No.
Like we're talking
We're
down
talking
on
Mario
Double
Kart
Dash.
as a C. Well, Double Dash is my favorite, but even that didn't make my top 100. No Mario Karts in my list.
I mean, that's fair. Probably wouldn't be in my top 100 either, but I still appreciate what Mario Kart is.
The most fun I had was with Double Dash, and since then every time Mario Kart comes on, I just can't be bothered. I don't know. I think it's the best kart racer game, but I just don't like the formula. I don't like the comeback mechanic. I don't like the way most of the items work. I just find it not interesting enough to...
I mean, I think part of that might just be that you've played a lot of Mario Kart in your day, Chase, and
It might be, but
realistically, it's a formula that is only enjoyable for so long. But
I don't know.
at the end
People
of the day,
still like the other friends, Matt and Austin, and them. They still love Mario Kart. They'll jump online with some other people and play, like not super often, but they have a good time when they do. But every time they bring it out, I'm like, I'll do something else. I don't want to play Mario Kart.
I will say I've never once in my life played Mario Kart online, and I likely never will.
Yeah.
It's very much
Because
a couch game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really enjoy when Mario Kart comes out at parties. It's always a good vibe, I feel
Yeah,
like. It's also just a simple game that's really easy to understand and everyone can play universally. Like everybody likes Mario Kart.
There's a lot of friends I have who
Chase.
just don't play video games and they love Mario
For
Kart.
sure, yeah.
Because it's just a game you can pick up and drive around a track and have fun with your friends. And I think it perfectly does that.
I'm glad it
'cause-
exists, and it definitely has that place for people who don't like games. And like I've brought it out at parties too, where I've had people over who don't play games. But for me personally, I don't want to play it. Like I don't enjoy
yeah,
playing it.
I actually agree with you, Chase. Like I'm pretty lukewarm on the series,
Yeah.
but I still think they're good games, and I think
They're
overall
definitely well made. They're pretty, and they have good animation and really good music. And the track designs are great, but I just again, when I'm playing it physically myself, I'm like, I just watch other people 4-player on the screen and do something else and have, more fun. But
on this topic, I realized we forgot to mention something from the Nintendo Direct that I think you're gonna love, Kai. There is now a free-to-play Disney Pixar Mario Kart ripoff.
Oh yeah, right.
Where you can play as Mulan and race Mario Karts.
Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Free-to-play, cross-platform on all platforms.
Okay, is it any good?
We don't know. It's not out yet.
I don't know. It's not out yet, but
it's not out yet,
Disney Pixar Kart is a thing.
It looked weirdly like not colorful enough. Like the stages themselves were kind of, but whatever. We'll see.
I'm not holding my hopes.
Yeah,
not holding my hopes.
Hold on.
Again, it's not like
do you remember
Mario
what characters
Kart...
they confirmed?
I can't remember who was on the screen, but yeah, the problem is as well. Mario Kart has clearly like perfected that formula. So any new kart games coming in, they keep trying to just do the same thing, but they have to change it up if they want to stick around, because Mario Kart is just, they've got it. They're done. You don't need to be copying that with different characters.
I've brought up the roster here, and I'd like to read it off quickly because I
Yes.
think that this is hilarious that this game exists. It is kind of weirdly dark and like kind of gritty looking in some areas,
it
but
just looks like a street version.
the characters in the game currently are Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Mulan, Jack Sparrow, Sully from Monsters Inc., Belle from Beauty and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. That's currently the roster.
Oh, I finally get to drive one of my go-karts.
Hey, that's pretty good. Who is that, Donald?
Hey, that's pretty good.
No,
I'm
that's
joking,
that's
I'm
my
joking.
Mickey. You
Was
don't
that-
mess with the mouse.
Okay, yeah, let's hit our last topic of the day after our hot takes. We're just gonna quickly talk about all the games that we've been playing lately, or games that we're going to play in the next couple weeks here. I'll start it off this time. Game I played recently at like 5 a.m. on my stream from start to finish was Paparazzi, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. Took me about 2 hours just taking pictures of dogs, like little puzzles of essentially like, hey, get a picture of a dog, like doing a backflip, or get a picture of a dog on a boat, and you just had to like go and do these pictures, and you had different filters that you could use, and it was just like the perfect length where I never felt bored or grindy by what I had to do. I was just like, yeah, I'll take a picture of these dogs this way. And right at the end, I was like, yeah, that's the perfect length. A good mix of environments, good mix of like small mechanics throwing frisbees for the dogs, and it just was cool taking pictures of dogs. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I would recommend it. It's just a nice little break.
Is there any like method of control there? Like, do you move a physical character around the world?
Yeah, you move
and
around the world.
do
You can
stuff?
jump. You can double jump. You can. There's like, I wouldn't really call them secrets. There's like bones and like things that you can find in the environment that are like
Collectibles?
they're collectibles, but they're not really they're never in a situation where I had to like go out of my way to find them. I was like, could see one like over there and had to figure out how to get up there. They were never like in really weird places, but the
Feels like
environments were
kind of
just
like the bolts from Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Like
Yeah,
very
and
much like that.
there wasn't a ton. Like there was probably like 10 on each map, but it was more about yeah, they'd be like, take a picture of a dog in black and white, or like with this in the background and this, and it. I just taking pictures of stuff, and I like
That sounds nice.
much more than Pokemon Snap, where like I have freedom of movement. It felt better to like line up the perfect shot and the perfect angle, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Fair.
feel like a photographer.
Actually,
you know?
yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
it did feel like a photographer. Crouch down and take, and there's just some good moments. There's just dogs doing like human things. Like there's one where it's like Venice Beach essentially, and there's a dog on the skate park, and you have to capture him doing his signature trick in the air and take a picture of him. And
That's cool.
yeah, and like dog sailing on the sea, and it was good, very cute. Nice.
That just sounds
nice
like a
and short.
nice game.
Yeah, it was the perfect time to play it. I was like getting tired, and it just got my attention back. Played it. It was good. That's all I've played lately. But I've got queued up. I've got Grease and Edith Finch that I'm probably gonna play in the next couple
Oh.
days here.
Edith
Two
Finch.
wonderful games.
Yeah.
You haven't played.
I
Edith
know.
Finch.
I'm worried that it's gonna
What?
break my top 100, and I'm gonna have to go through that. It's
You
probably-
mean
It's too late to remake your list, but Chase, seeing your top 100, I think there's a few games on there that you would definitely bunk for Edith
Yeah.
Finch. But we can talk about that after you enjoy it.
yeah.
Yes, please
Also,
go play that game.
Grease is a really, really beautiful piece of art, and I really enjoyed my time with it. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, excited to play those two as well. And I think, let me just double check, but I think that's it for me. Yeah, those are like what I'm looking forward to in the next little bit. Obviously, I'm going to play Warhammer with you guys, but I'll let you guys take the brunt of that conversation. Kai, do you want to talk about your Dying Light shenanigans?
Yeah, so that's the game I've been playing recently. Is Dying Light 2. Big release recently. Lots of people are playing it. It's like twice the amount of people that ever played the first game on Steam, which
They marketed it
crazy.
well.
they marketed it very well. And people have been looking forward to it for a long time. I've put around anywhere between like 20 to 30 actual game hours into it so far. And I really enjoy it. I think it's a really solid sequel. Is it a game that I think is like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece? No. And I think people that are complaining about the game were kind of expecting that and just didn't get it, and so the whole game's just poo. When I don't think that's the case at all. I think
It's a perfect
It's a perfect, exactly. It's like an 8.5 type game. Because I think the parkour alone is worth that extra half a point.
Yeah, I kind of
the
want to dive
parkour is
into it.
amazing.
Keep seeing commercials
just-
for it, and it just looks like a good AAA game with good movement.
It does
Yeah,
have really,
and-
really solid fun movement. I've played the first 6 or 7 hours. of it, and I also am really enjoying it. But I'll let Kai take the lead here.
Yeah, because there's one big fucking asterisk with this game. One big one. And it's a complaint I have for a lot of AAA games today, especially, is that the game takes way too long to get into the real game. The intro to Dying Light 2, before you're actually allowed to explore the open world at your leisure, is 2.5 hours of just walking, listening to dialogue, walking some more, listen to more dialogue.
Is it like also
Walk
like a
some more.
tutorial, like how to crouch, how to jump?
Yes.
and all that
Yes,
stuff?
but
Yes.
also really slow. Like they give you like one single zombie and force you to repeat your parry like 5 times against this one enemy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's a really handholdy, very slow introduction.
yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah. And like everything that this 2.5 hours accomplishes could be done in 20 minutes.
The second I finished that intro, I had to get up and go because that was all the time I had in the moment. And I literally walked away from that saying, wow, they literally put that intro there so that people couldn't Steam refund the game.
Yep.
Do you think
I'm pretty sure
do
that's
you
what
think
the
that's
purpose was
possible?
for. It's over 2 hours.
I absolutely. It's
I went
2.5
over 2 hours. He was 2.5 hours.
If
Yeah.
that's the case, that's hella scummy. But it's there's no way to prove that, obviously. But
No,
Not directly, but it absolutely could have been
it's
shortened
kind of
down by a
convenient.
lot.
It does that,
Yeah.
doesn't it? It's kind of convenient. It does that, especially since with Dying Light 1, a lot of people played that game, killed zombies for a little bit, and just got kind of bored because people's attention spans are quick.
right, yeah,
So they just kind of wanted the game to take longer to get out in the open world so that you were less likely to refund it. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if a bigwig said, just put all this unnecessary dialogue in here because it
Yeah.
is so unnecessary. You learn nothing for like 90% of it in terms of the world or the characters or anything.
Yeah, it's true. And at least until you're actually in the city, you're not really learning anything relevant. It's just your standard discussion of like, oh, there's zombies and the world's scary, and man, I wish I could just go on vacation to the beach with my wife. And it's like, well, all right, but this isn't relevant.
Mhm.
character building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it is. It reeks of the writer saying, "Take my story seriously. I made this. This is my masterpiece, and you're gonna sit here and you're gonna listen to it." It's
I mean,
like,
I think
no, I
it's
don't
also-
want to.
It's also
Let me
fair to
skip.
say that when you're developing a game and you work on something for that long, that you become really attached to the story, and that maybe some of that dialogue does have like intention and meaning behind it to the developers, but to a first-time player picking something up, when I'm just like, I want to try out Dying Light 2, and then my 2.5 hour play session includes no gameplay of Dying Light 2, I feel pretty bad about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but once you're past that, it's really solid. It is what a Dying Light fan would want out of a Dying Light sequel. You just got to get through that big asterisk of a terrible beginning, and a lot of games do this nowadays, where like it takes like 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, 4 hours, whatever, to get into the real video game.
Yeah,
And I want
especially
developers
bigger
to stop
games.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
I
gotta
just
learn from the
want
small games.
10-minute intro. I'm good with 20 minutes. You're starting to stretch my patience. 30 is the maximum. Past that, you got me angry.
It depends on what
And-
kind of game it is too, right? Like in a really narrative-driven game where that's part of the draw of it, like a 30-minute introduction is perfectly fine with me if I know I'm sitting down to enjoy a story and to soak
Well,
in
yeah,
a world
it
and
depends what
characters,
they
but-
market it as, but Dying Light 2 definitely didn't market itself as like that. They market it as fast-paced, parkour and killing zombies, not walking for 2 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming games
Anything else, Kai?
besides Warhammer? Because we'll talk about that. We'll let you guys talk about that together.
Um,
But if there's anything else you wanted to,
I guess for me, the other big one is Elden Ring.
oh yeah, right, that comes out very soon.
But I think Ty might. Are you going to cover that one, Ty? Or
Well, you
I
guys
mean,
can talk
I-
about
Let me
both of those together if Ty wants to.
I
quickly
wasn't
touch on.
I wasn't planning on touching on either of them, to be honest, but Elden Ring
Okay.
I'll talk about if we need to fill some extra time, because it is my most anticipated game this month, and this is also a month with Warhammer 3 and Sifu dropping, so
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if you want to
but
talk about
for me, it's
Warhammer now,
Warhammer
you might as well, because we'll get to
Yep,
Ty and then we'll
I-
wrap up.
I figured because I'm also the one who's played Warhammer 2 the most, other than
he's got a
Like,
couple
I don't know
hundred
how
hours on me.
yeah, I do have a couple hundred hours on Ty, so I guess we'll start with me. Yeah, no, it's just a bigger, better, badder looking sequel, man. This Warhammer 3 is looking like the quintessential example of a video game sequel done right. It takes what works about the previous game and applies it in, doesn't change a fucking thing. It takes what doesn't work, either throws it in the trash or reworks it to make it more interesting and better, like settlements. There's minor settlement battles again. Yes, we've been
Yeah.
missing those since the historical games. Like, we can actually feel attached to the settlements we grow in this world. And also just like really doubling down on multiplayer campaigns. Like, in Warhammer 1 and 2, they're kind of an afterthought. Like, they're definitely a fun way to play the game, and it's the way that I play the game most of the time personally. But it is an afterthought within the actual design of the game. Now for Warhammer 3, it feels like, they really worked hard to innovate in this area for the series. Having 8-player campaigns is
Yeah, that's big. That's
crazy
big.
with simultaneous turns. That's crazy. That's insane. That's never been done for a Total War game before. And I'm still curious how they're gonna do it, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, even with all their explainers, I'm like, fuck, man. This is crazy what they're pulling here. Like, and just the visual style of it, creating new Warhammer fantasy content. I could really see where these 4 years I've been waiting went.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking, well, where did the 4 years go in this fucking game? I'm like, no, this game's gonna be an innovator. It's gonna be one of the big ones.
Yeah, it's nice to know that they've shown off all of their additions clearly to the fans. You can see where all that.
Yeah,
all
and
that work
you
is
can
going.
go see a million campaign playthroughs right now. Basically, the whole entire game is on the internet right now. And CA was just like, yeah, we want that because we want people to see this is something we've been working hard for 4 years on, and we want to show you how much labor and love we put into it before you make a purchasing decision.
Right on. Ty, what do you got? What do you play? What you got on the horizon?
All right. I beat a couple of games this week. I beat Archvale, which was a cute little 2D twin stick bullet hell RPG. It was pretty interesting actually towards the second half of the game because it's a bullet hell absolutely, and the farther into the game you get, like the more intense of a bullet hell it becomes. And I personally love bullet hell games. I think they're just really addicting and fun. But it's the type of bullet hell where through the RPG like progression mechanics, you eventually become more powerful than like any of the bosses in like really obscure, weird, ridiculous ways. To the point where with my little magic build I was running, by the time I got to the final boss is 3 phases, and none of them take longer than 15 seconds to beat. It's just about who can nuke the other guy faster. And that's how the game ends. It just lets you ramp up to such ridiculous power level that it was really fun.
Cool.
I also beat Curse of the Dead Gods, which was a really great little roguelike that I recommend anyone who likes that genre take part in. The curse mechanic in that game is really interestingly crafted, and the light and darkness mechanic to the combat was also really cool to see. And then, I started Dying Light 2, which, like I said, I played for about 5, 6, 7 hours now, and am having some good fun with. And pretty soon I'm going to be launching into Sifu. I already have that installed, and I'm just getting ready to record my whole playthrough of it, because as a massive fan of their previous game, Absolver, I feel like I have some worthwhile notes on things.
Yeah, I know Alex has been wanting to dive into that. I definitely want to play that as well.
I mean, it
looks really good.
It looks amazing. I'm so excited.
And you'll definitely catch all 3 of us playing Warhammer 3 once that launches as well. Well, cool. Good episode, everybody. Thank you,
thanks
everyone. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
We love you.
We love you.
Does this podcast have an easy mode?
It does. It does. It'll be just me.
The pause button.
Just remove your guys' dialogue, and it'll be just me
Reacting
to
yourself.
myself. Yeah.
All right. Good stuff, guys.